Was this more good Cowboys or bad Eagles?
Well, as pathetic as the Philadelphia Eagles were, and we all know this, I'm going to give the Dallas Cowboys credit where credit is due because I am a fair man. That's why I'm going to do it. I could sit up there and ravage off a whole bunch of stuff, but I'll leave Philadelphia to Max, rather. I'm going to give the Dallas Cowboys and my buddy Jerry Jones. I'm going to give them some love on this particular Monday morning. Here's the bottom line. Dak Prescott looked absolutely sensational. Now, granted, he got to step back, sit back in the pocket, take pictures, call his girlfriend, ask her, where we going out to dinner, and all of this other stuff before he threw a damn pass because he had absolutely, positively nothing to worry about because the Eagles couldn't get at him pretty much all night long. He had all day to throw the football. Ezekiel Elliott and the rest of their running game, they didn't explode for anything, but they were moving the chains constantly. And DeMarcus Lawrence was a monster. He came into the game. Doug Peterson, chirping a little bit, talking smack. This man said, you don't get to play, shut the hell up. You understand? They got to play for you, and we'll be ready for them. And sure enough, he handled his business for us. Fumble, had a sack, had about 4 or 5 tackles. He looked, and their defense ultimately looked stout. In the end, we have to look at the Cowboys and say, look, from top to bottom, there is no question about their talent. We might question their coaching. We might question their leadership from above, but there is no question about their talent, and last night they showed us why.
The Eagles, this was bad Eagles. This is obviously bad Eagles. And they were supposed to be an elite team this year. And Stephen A., before I even get to Carson Wentz, the defense was an abomination. They got out-coached. They were bad in every facet of the game. How about a team that doesn't come out and play hard, doesn't play like
You just said Jason Garrett out-coached Doug Peterson? Wow.
Well, yeah.
Finally getting some praise.
Jim Schwartz is actually the guy who I'm looking at right now. But how about the fact that they come out as flat as they do on a week where their coach basically guaranteed they would win? Then he walked it back a little bit. No, I just have I have confidence in my guys. But here's what it comes down to why I'm still looking at Carson Wentz. And believe me, I hear about it on social media. Of all the things with the Eagles, you're going to go at Wentz. Yes, I am. When you are paid like an elite quarterback, you are supposed to at least give your team a chance to win, not come roaring back in the third quarter down 1,000,000 points and make it 3 points closer. Wentz, look, I brought this up about Nick Foles. Nick Foles sprinkled his pixie dust all over everything. Everyone played harder. They played better. They don't do it with Wentz, and this is the 3rd week in a row that he hasn't played well. Don't tell me about the numbers. Watch the game. You know he hasn't played well. Overthrowing guys in the end zone, holding the ball too long, no pocket awareness. The pocket's collapsing. He's standing in it. The pocket's holding. He's bailing. Everything's bad for Carson Wentz right now. This was bad Eagles.
This was the worst Eagles. What are you talking about? The Eagles were dreadful. And it starts with the coach, not yesterday. It started with the coach early in the week when he ran his mouth. First of all, if a head coach in the NFL in a rivalry of the NFC East, we know how intense that is forever. If you walk something back, you've lost your team already. To the play late in the game, I guess it's Aguilar doesn't even reach, doesn't even lay out for a ball that he's going to, a 40-yard gain there should be. I mean, they were dreadful. Carson Wentz, I just heard my dear friend Mike Greenberg refer to him as spectacular. When? Where? Steve Young was spectacular. There is nothing spectacular about Carson Wentz. There rarely has been. He hasn't been spectacular in the big games because he either hasn't played them or, in the case of last night, lost them. So starting with coach and quarterback, the Eagles were a failure yesterday, and you can't judge what they did. I'm not judging the Cowboys, by the way. The Cowboys were fine. But in the context of what we saw yesterday, how can you judge anything about the Cowboys when the Eagles were as dreadful?
But you're not sold on Carson at all, it sounds like.
Why? Why would I? The biggest franchise victories have come from a guy who's hurt in Jacksonville. Carson Wentz, he's been okay. What has Carson Wentz done that has earned the amount of praise and expectation?
Well, because his a couple of years ago, through 13 weeks.
Remember that year?
13 weeks, he was the MVP, Michael.
So, let's talk about the last 2 years.
He hasn't. Okay, now Stephen A., that is something that's real. To me, he hasn't looked the same since he got back from the injury.
Well, listen, I think the point that Max, you've been on the record going off about the Eagles, and I think with your argument, you missed it because really what it comes down to is what you alluded to and you've been mentioning over the last several months in terms of his ability to galvanize those troops inside that locker room. We heard about guys coming late to practice. We heard about guys not being focused. We're hearing things about the Philadelphia Eagles now that we had not heard in quite a while. They seem undisciplined right now. Doug Peterson seems to have lost the team to some degree. I understand that, and that would point to awful Eagles. But here's what I'm going to do, because I'm averse to giving the Dallas Cowboys credit. So I can go left every now and then. Here's the deal. Dallas punched them in the mouth. You know, when you talk smack and then I come out and I tell you, we'll be waiting for you. And I'm going to bust your you-know-what when I see you. And then I do it. I'm just saying, yeah, that might have been bad Eagles, but who made them look bad? It would happen to be the Cowboys. So as much as it disgusts me because of that disgusting, nauseating fan base that I have to deal with, the worst fan base in American history that just makes me want to throw up every time I hear, how about them Cowboys? The flip side to it is that on this particular day, the Eagles got punked. Somebody punked them. And it was the Dallas Cowboys. That's all I'm trying to say. That's all I'm trying to say.
They punked themselves on some level.
You could say.
I want to say it was ugly from the first possession. Those first two possessions.
They fumbled the first
21 points off turnovers for the Cowboys.
Right.
Bad Eagles.
That's right.
By the way, when is the last time? How often do we hear a head coach make a guarantee? A regular season game. What's the point of that and then to walk it back? That should be embarrassing, but I'm not sure they're that
Well,
aware.
it's a sign of desperation early in the season. And this is the thing I keep looking at with Wentz, who I don't think has been the same since the injury, by the way. But you're right, Stephen A., to point that out. What have I been saying? Nick Foles is the one who won them the Super Bowl. He took them there. But more instructive to me was the following season, last year, they were flat all year. Then Wentz goes down, and Nick Foles takes over. And suddenly they look energized. Both sides of the ball, even special teams. Everyone's playing harder. They're playing with more energy, playing together. Let's not forget, he not only quarterbacked them into the playoffs, he went to Soldier Field to beat the Bears, who were a Super Bowl favorite. They were among them. He then went to New Orleans and had a chance.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.